Guys, it's Lauren. I want to read to you guys my list of stuff that I created back in 2017, straight from the list of it. It's just my list of tips that I made up that I feel like is important for dealing with people on the spectrum. And I've been basing most of my YouTube videos on this. And the last one I was at number, I think, 21. So here it goes. Oh, yep, forgot to mention, this is Bodie. He is he's 6 months old. We just got him fixed. I think he's part Maine Coon because he's really big, and he's a big fluffy boy, and I love him a lot. He's been my him and his Siamese brother, which is my other cat, Bennett, is been a great help to their mommy over the summer when I got them when they was newborn kittens. Yes, it was. Yeah, you're a good kitty. Alright, dealing with autism spectrum symptoms by me, Lauren, a patient on the spectrum. Accept yourself or your autistic child or spouse. Be realistic. Number 3, always pray for the person. I'm a Christian and I believe in the power of prayer. I always have. Yeah. Always lead by example. Even though autistic people may not always appear to understand things the way that a normal person does, they do tend to pick up on small details from other people. Always stick to your promises and have a plan B handy when you make time to do something for your ASD people. Autistic people are always extremely honest about stuff, and they tend to remember details. If they promise to do you a favor, they will stick to that promise, even if it is completed several years later. A good example of that I remember my aunt, for 5 years, she wanted me to draw her a picture to hang up on her refrigerator, and in 6th grade, I finally did it. She still has it somewhere in a box, is what she told me. Number 7, before you judge an autistic person, think about how you are reacting or acting. Matthew 7, 1-5. Always remember the golden rule, Matthew 7, verse 12. Never say anything out of anger or frustration near an autistic person, because they tend to take everything literally and also don't do anything too. This advice comes from Proverbs 14:17. Number 10, be careful on how you approach humorous teasing around an autistic person. They also interpret this literally too, so that could go together with the one up here that talked about it. Instead of criticizing them about not taking teasing, teaches them about how teasing works. Number 11, never punish a person for meltdowns and stimming. These are often the result of emotional stress and worry. This will make them feel worse, and that means a much worse meltdown. Instead, try to listen without judging and use comments such as, would you like to explain why you feel this way? What are you doing, kitty cat? Is there anything I can do to help you feel better? Do not use comments such as, you are too big to act like that, you are being very rude, etc. Always forgive the person for meltdowns and stimming, along with the behaviors that make them appear to be rude. Don't sweat the meltdowns, yet be prepared to deal with them when they happen, and remember that they will always happen because this is autism. Sorry. And now this one I've never done it, but y'all might want to consider it. In public. Now, as embarrassing as it is, you may want to consider wearing a medic alert bracelet or some type of jewelry item that explains your medical condition and what to do should there be a problem. Autism is one of them. I don't like jewelry, so that's kind of going to be a challenge for me. So I'll just have to find some way else to get my medic alerts noticed. Now, if you have a smartphone like me, you should have a health information chart. On most of them have that, containing your medical information should an emergency happen. You can pull this up on your phone without having to type in your phone passcode. So my phone has that. I never use it, so I need to. Now I don't really know how the newer phones would be toward this, but I know mine, when I first got it, I set up an emergency chart. You want to help with me? Yeah. Never criticize a parent or a spouse of an autistic person. These people already have enough on their plates and feel as if they are walking on eggshells to avoid embarrassment. Say something like, I'm sorry you had to deal with this, and is there anything I can do to help you? And always pray for the person and his or her family. Be an autism advocate. Yeah, so I would advocate for you. And you're one of the best autism buddies ever. You do are. Warn the person ahead of time for changes in routine and help them to prepare. Some examples of changes in routine can include an assembly at school or having guests in the house. And the biggie of 2020 was COVID-19. Teach the autistic person ahead of time how to handle the different types of emergencies that will occur from time to time. When teaching them skills or helping them with homework, they can appear as if they're not listening or just being lazy. Another thing that can happen is that they may not truly understand what's being told. If this happens, understand that this is all related to sensory processing issues in their brain. 21. Do encourage them to overcome any sensory issues or fears, but take baby steps and use the 3 steps backward and 2 steps forward idea if needed. I think that's the way it goes, or is it 2 steps backward and 3 steps forward? Something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, you're going to sleep on mommy, aren't you? School systems should be willing to understand each special needs child's goals and be willing to help them to achieve them. Tutors or special education teachers should be willing to help work with children in the spectrum at certain times during the school day with homework assignments from regular education classes and be willing to help them get reintegrated into regular education classroom settings if they're in special ed. Some of them aren't. Number 23, encourage the autistic person to achieve his or her goals and help them, yet help them to understand that they need to be realistic. Number 24, employers and school systems should allow persons with special needs to have frequent restroom breaks and other accommodations as needed. Bladder and bowel control issues are common with people on the spectrum. A big one, number 25. Any form of bullying or discrimination against autistic people in educational or employment settings should not be allowed. Number 26. Those with autism who cannot afford traditional medical insurance but are not eligible to receive Medicaid benefits should receive some type of health care benefits. Yep, they should. Comorbid psychological and physiological conditions are common among those with autism spectrum disorders, and these, as well as autism, will need to be taken care of. Just not you. Yeah. Number 27. Pregnant women on the spectrum should see an obstetrician gynecologist that specializes in high-risk pregnancies and women with special needs. Pregnancy may intensify sensory symptoms in autistic women. Hormonal issues during pregnancy and postpartum depression can, of course, lead to meltdowns that do include stimming behaviors. Not enough is known on women with autism, and I feel like it needs to be known, because every time that time of the month, it was my mood swings and all my autism symptoms were a lot worse. And plus, I had issues with endometriosis, so I'll talk to you all about that later. Medications should be used with caution in people with autism. Their bodies are extremely sensitive, and medication side effects can be extremely dangerous in an autistic person. Been there, done that. Autism training courses should be required for all teachers, social workers, medical professionals of any type, all emergency responders. And I would highly recommend them to anyone that is looking for potential employees. 30. Pastors and Sunday school teachers need to consider talking about certain topics differently if they have an autistic person in the congregation. Also, consider making the church as sensory friendly as possible. I've never had that. My pastor in my church has always been okay so far, so for the most part. Number 31. During social situations of any type, formal or informal, always ask the autistic person whether they would like to join in or not. If you don't ask them, they may feel left out because they don't know what to say, and they do feel worried, and they're going to feel worried about saying or doing something wrong. This is because they feel pressure to be perfectly well-mannered and to be socially acceptable more than the average person, because we as neurotypicals tend to put more pressure on them to be socially acceptable than what we would a non-autistic person. Number 32. If an autistic person complains of chronic symptoms, please listen to them. They may appear to be chronic complainers, but sensory issues and cognitive issues can cause them to overreact, making them appear as if they're seeking attention or being a hypochondriac. Other medical conditions can co-occur with autism, and remember that when these happens, these people are very truthful about what they feel. I've been there and done that. Number 33. Encourage them to pursue their special interests if they have any. For more expensive hobbies, help them to find ways to save money for the things they want, and also encourage them to find others with similar interests. I'm a roller coaster freak, and I'm also a yoga freak. So, and I try to find people that like stuff like that. It's kind of hard because a lot of people around here don't like yoga. Most people don't want to do anything that's healthy for you, and a lot of people just aren't into roller coasters like me. So number 34, encourage healthy eating, exercise, and plenty of rest when needed. Must have. Number 35, embrace the talents of an autistic person. They have many talents and skills that a normal person does not have. This is where it's important that employers need to know that. That employers and teachers need to understand this. Number 36, don't fret about social awkwardness. What's on the inside is literally more important. Number 37, the most important tip on my list. Happiness is the best medicine for autistic people. With happiness, everything falls into place easier for these people and their family. Alright, guys. Me and Bodie want to say thanks for listening. Have a nice day. Oh, and I forgot to mention the date. It is January the 24th, 2021. No more COVID, please. Alright, talk to you guys the next time I make a blog. Thanks, bye.